Hey there, happy Tuesday. Welcome to 2 for Tuesday. Tonight, I am going to share with you 2 features of the ScreenTime application settings on your smart devices, and I'll give you a little bit of a bonus of a 3rd feature. Real quick, I am Mo McClanahan, and I am the Director of Education and Training with the Safe Surfing Foundation. I recently retired from law enforcement, where I worked the last 8.5 years working internet crimes against children. And since the pandemic of COVID-19, I can tell you that cyber crimes against children has been on the increase of over 200%. And we at Safe Surfing, we want to make sure that we are continuing to deliver some education and really help better safeguard your kids by just letting you know some of the dangers that are out there and giving you some really easy, applicable tools that you can do now to better protect your kids from the online predators that are trying to get to them, especially now that they are online more than ever, with school being virtual, some schools being hybrid, whatever that looks like. In the meantime, us parents are still working, and so we can't literally hover behind them and look over their shoulders the whole time to make sure that they're staying on track with their schoolwork and that they're not, being distracted by social media and unfortunately being approached by online predators. So recently, I had a friend of mine ask me some questions like, how can I better safeguard my kids? I have 2, they're different ages. One's in middle school, one's still in grade school. So they have different needs and different applications that they have access to online. So what's something that we can do to really start today by just protecting them and seeing what's going on with their online use? So I mentioned the ScreenTime application that I definitely know comes on iOS. I'm not sure if with Androids that you need to actually download it or if it's on the new operating systems. But ScreenTime, or when I mentioned it to her, she was like, ScreenTime, doesn't that just tell you the analytics of how long you've been online and which app you've been using? Which it does do that. And for us adults, I don't know about you, but sometimes I look at that number when it pops up and it's alarming to me because I don't feel like I'm online that much. But even as adults, we are online, we're addicted to our electronics, and so are our kids, unfortunately. So yeah, maybe thinking of new ways of using the screen time as a safety feature. And that can definitely be the best way to just start today. And there are a couple of features that I like to share with you. One is you can actually limit the time that they're on specific apps. So I don't know about you, but with me, there's been many arguments when it comes to turning the device off, logging off of a game, saying you have 5 more minutes, it's been 7, and then the argument goes back and forth. This takes the argument out of the equation. So when you set the time limit, the device shuts off. There's no more argument. There's no 1 more minute, 5 more minutes. So this really is one of the best features of ScreenTime. Another thing is that you can set the time of when they even have access to using specific apps. So if you want to give them a time, maybe after dinner, before bed, so you can set it between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. And those are the only times that they can have access to the device or even be able to use any of the apps. So I really like that because it's hard to set boundaries. And even though you set the boundary, it's even harder to keep it on schedule. So this really makes it easier for the kids to really understand the expectations, and they can look forward to that time, and they're going to use their time hopefully a little bit wiser when they are using the apps. So that's one of my favorite features about ScreenTime. The next one is turning off the camera. So many times in my work, when I would go undercover and try to intercept the predators to, offending against me instead of our children, one of the features was they always wanted a live picture. And I would tell them that my mother had turned off the camera and that you had to have a password in order to even access the camera. They would always try to give me, ways to go around it, maybe opening up an app and trying to use the camera in the app. Still doesn't work. And when they wouldn't believe me, I would just send them a screenshot of the camera app not being on the phone, and then also that it would require a PIN. Of course, they would ask me, you just took a screenshot of that. And I'd have to explain to them, you don't use the camera to take the screenshot, it's internal. So that was a really great feature. So you can actually turn the camera app off on the actual device. And when you do that, they can't take pictures inside of social media apps. It's completely off. There's no access to the lens whatsoever. So you can even set a timer for that they can't use the camera app during certain hours. And that really, that will really protect your kids in the long run. For most of the crimes that are happening, a lot of it is through images, videos, and just either sending inappropriate pictures and not really understanding the consequences behind that and the ramifications of what can happen to them afterwards, not just in legal terms, but how the predators use that against them. Now, for your bonus feature, another thing you can do is block specific apps. So maybe there's an app like the web browser that you don't want them to use, something that's already on the device. And so it doesn't really take a matter of downloading, because you can block the Apple Store or the Google Play Store with a password. You can always have that as your password. But say the app is already on the device and you don't want them going to YouTube, but maybe they're using the browser and they're going to youtube.com. So you can actually turn off all those apps as well. And really, it's up to us to make sure that we're taking these steps to better safeguard our kids, because they don't understand the dangers. And even as adults, we're all still figuring it out as well. And that's why, I really feel it's important to share these tips with your friends. And if you know a parent that is struggling with some of the activities that their child's doing online, make sure you share these videos. Everything is being saved inside of our IGTV channel, and also you can subscribe to our YouTube channel where these will also be stored. So you'll always have access to them, and anytime you have questions or if you want me to touch on a specific topic, make sure you send us a DM and we'll definitely get back to you, and make sure that is an episode that we cover. And always looking for guests as well. So if you want to come on and talk with us, we would love to have you. So that is our 2 for Tuesday. I hope you guys have an amazing night. And again, please just share this if you know anybody that is really struggling on how to keep track and monitor their child's device as much as possible. So have a great night. We'll see you next Tuesday, 8 p.m. EST.